Wizards of the Coast and Square Enix have officially teamed up with one another to create a Final Fantasy line of Magic the Gathering cards featuring some pretty beautiful artwork. So that's what we're going to take a look at in today's video. So if any of that sounds cool to you, feel free to click the like button. And if you're new here and you'd like to stick around and help support the channel, you can leave a comment down below with any of your thoughts on today's video, and you can subscribe if you want to stick around. So when it comes to Magic the Gathering, I know next to nothing about this franchise. Growing up, I always heard about it. I had friends in school that may have played it or collected the cards, and I had seen some cards from time to time, but I never actually bothered to sit down and play it or learn how. But with this announcement that Wizards of the Coast and Square Enix are creating Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy cards, I'm actually kind of interested now because these cards look pretty stunning. And this information comes to us directly from a brand new YouTube video that was uploaded by Square Enix and Wizards of the Coast talking about these Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering cards. It features Square Enix producer Shoichi Ichikawa and Wizards of the Coast product architect Zakil Gordon, where they basically talk about this new set of cards for Final Fantasy. And one of the things that they really hype up is that this is going to be the largest collection of Final Fantasy artwork in a single game. And that's because every card is going to span from the first Final Fantasy all the way up to the most recent Final Fantasy 16. It's going to feature characters, weapons, summons, enemies that are iconic to the franchise, all in card form. And it sounds really exciting. Ichikawa even goes on to say that we believe that this combination of the epic storytelling of Final Fantasy and the strategic gameplay of Magic the Gathering will be the most exciting entertainment ever on the table. While Gordon adds, and for us at Wizards of the Coast, Final Fantasy represents a rich universe that is a natural fit for Magic's gameplay. Now, as mentioned before, this is going to feature characters from the beginning of Final Fantasy all the way to 16, but in the video they specifically highlight by name Terra from Final Fantasy VI, Lightning from Final Fantasy 13, one of my favorites, Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, and of course, the very popular Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. Now, unfortunately, they don't show any images of Cloud. They've only provided 6 images, but they look incredible. Seriously, like the artwork on these images is absolutely stunning. And even though I don't play Magic the Gathering, part of me wouldn't mind actually owning these cards just to have them as collectibles, maybe kind of put them in a frame, align, every character from Final Fantasy VII in one frame, every character from 8, 9, 10, what have you, because the artwork is stupendous. So we're going to take a look at that artwork. And the first one, I actually didn't recognize this character, but apparently from the article, it's a character from Final Fantasy XIV. So for those of you who play Final Fantasy XIV, you will have to let me know who this specific character is, and is this guy a big deal? Because when I first glanced at it, I'm like, it kind of looks like Arden from Final Fantasy XV, which clearly it's not. But the colors on his photo in particular, he looks really, really sick. They also show off everyone's favorite bad guy, Kefka, a very gigantic version looking of Kefka, in what almost looks like, what's the name of the guy? Is it Alex Ross, who does a lot of like the older DC superhero stuff? That's kind of what this art style in particular reminds me of. Kefka's got his hand on his face playing with some like magic water paint. It's beautiful. There's a Moogle with Moogle mail, super adorable, not much else to say there. There's a photo which is honestly one of my favorites of Lightning. This is Lightning headed towards the player. There's rose petals behind her. There's like little cracks of pinkish red lightning as she's basically leaping towards you. It reminds me a lot of the first reveal trailer of Final Fantasy 13 that we got back in the day, where Lightning was taking on all of those enemies in that tunnel. I think it was a pre-rendered sequence meant to kind of mimic what they wanted the gameplay of Final Fantasy 13 to end up being, but it is gorgeous. I'm going to see if I can actually download some of these and use them as wallpapers. They are that stunning. We've got Tidus and Yuna in a very beautiful embrace from the very iconic section of Final Fantasy X, where they're in the water together, sharing a very intimate moment, getting close, and eventually kissing, which I don't know how you do that underwater, but Tidus is a star blitzball player, so I'm not going to question how he can breathe underwater. And then last but not least, we have everyone's favorite villain, Sephiroth, in his very iconic pose when he's falling from the sky in the Forgotten Capital with his sword aimed down, about to strike, one of our favorite lovely flower girls in all of Final Fantasy. And again, these images are gorgeous. So I'm not super familiar with the artists from Magic the Gathering, but I have seen some of their cards, and the artwork on them is always really stunning. And it's always really interesting to see these iconic characters drawn by other people, specifically people that weren't the creators. So seeing a take on Sephiroth or Cloud by an artist that isn't Tetsuya Nomura is always pretty exciting, and it's really cool to see like the liberties that these artists take. Do they kind of mimic that style? Do they add something of their own? And then of course, you know, the legendary Final Fantasy illustrators as well will be a part of this project, and they will have their own drawings on these cards as well. So I would expect Nomura to pop up somewhere in these cards, even though they don't mention him specifically by name. And a lot of these shots again are taken from iconic moments throughout each game in the series, but they also say that there will be brand new cards that will have new moments, different illustrations that are completely unique to Magic the Gathering. So it'll be really interesting to see other characters show up. Another character that I'm really looking forward to in particular, I really want to see what they do with Auron from Final Fantasy X. He's just such a cool looking character. He kind of reminds me of like Vincent, he's like the 10 equivalent to Vincent. He's just this kind of like calm, cool, collected, kind of shadowy figure at times. Speaking of Vincent, I really want to see what kind of artwork and art style they have for Vincent. Also, what do the cards do? The only card game I've ever played in my life that I actually studied the rules and played with friends was Yu-Gi-Oh! And that was back in middle school. And those cards were awesome. I loved the illustrations on those cards. Learning what the effects were was always really fun. Trying to have an actual duel with a calculator on the side to figure out, you know, life points and how much damage you were doing and how much, you know, attack power your cards had or defense was a lot of fun. I'm also very curious to see the characters from Final Fantasy VIII show up, what kind of art style they're going to do. I'm hoping to see an art style that's kind of faithful to the original game. I know over the years, Squall has really strayed from his original design. You look at Squall from standard FF8 and you look at how he looks in the most recent Dissidia. He's had a lot of changes with his wardrobe, with his build, and it would be cool to see an art style that kind of returns to what Squall looked like in the OG game. I'm also really excited to see stuff from 16. 16 has some really great character designs, whether it's their, you know, the standard characters or when they go prime mode or where they become actual icons. So Ifrit, Titan, Bahamut, they're so incredibly detailed and colorful, so I'm really curious to see what those cards will also look like. Also, I'm assuming this is the case, but do they have holographic versions of cards for Magic the Gathering as well? Again, my only frame of reference for card games really is Yu-Gi-Oh! And even like some of the older Pokemon cards, so either way, color me intrigued. So for those of you who watch these videos, let me know in the comments, do you guys play Magic the Gathering? If so, is it fun? Is it something that you've kept up with, or is it maybe something that you played when you were younger and kind of, you know, lost interest in? Please feel free to fill me in the comments down below. But it's going to be a long wait to get our hands on these cards. According to Magic the Gathering and Square Enix, these cards are going to be releasing on June 13th of 2025. So next year is when these cards are going to come out, but they look pretty awesome. And I'm really curious also to see like what the effects of these cards are. Again, I don't play Magic, so I don't know what you do. Is it like Yu-Gi-Oh? Is it more like Pokemon? I have no idea, but I just know that these cards look pretty stunning. So with that being said, that is the video. I am Curious Corduroy. Again, please let me know in the comments down below. First off, what do you guys think of the artwork they've shown off so far for these cards? Is there any character or enemy or weapon or summon in particular that you are looking forward to? I think the stuff from 16 could probably look really sick, especially since those icons are so well designed in that game and they're super detailed. But also, do you play Magic the Gathering? I'd very much like to know if anyone in the subscriber base actually sits down to play this game. With that being said, that is the video. I will see you guys in the next one. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.